Can you hear me? Okay, no public comments. Call this meeting to order. Natalie, would you read the vision statement and mission statement, please?
World-class schools for world-class students. The mission statement, the North Little Rock School District and the community will provide for achievement, accountability, acceptance, and the necessary assets in the pursuit of each student's educational success.
Thank you. Can we have the roll call, please?
Mrs. Temple.
Here.
Dr. Reddas.
Here.
Mrs. Wancom.
Here.
Mr. Zakreski.
Here.
Ms. Person West. Mrs. Williams. Here. Mr. Steele.
Here.
Thank you.
Madam President, I so move that we go into executive closed session to discuss personnel.
Second.
Moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Executive session. Do we need to bring this?
Got you, man.
All right, we reviewed the employment list that we will be voting on at 8.3 later in the meeting. Okay. We are ready for board member and superintendent involvement.
Just say no action was taken. No action was taken.
Yeah, well, yeah, no action was taken. I said we reviewed it to vote on it.
Oh, you want me to go? Okay, I was gonna allow any board members to go.
Oh, well,
You go ahead, Dr.
I was going in order.
Oh. Oh, it is. I
You
guess it is
first.
me. Well, board member, superintendent, sure, I'll be happy to. So on May the 25th was our last superintendent's town hall meeting, so I thought those were relatively, the first, or the last one wasn't as well attended as the first two, but that was some great input. On May the 25th, I've started some other smaller groups. I've had an opportunity to meet with all of our head coaches, and I had a chance to meet with them and get some great information. On May 26th, I met with Mr. Nick Leopoulos at the Thea Foundation, and have developed a great relationship with him, and we've talked about arts and arts integration and what's going on in our community. I thought that was great. On the 26th of May, I met with the CTE teachers in a small focus group. On May 27th, I was invited by Councilwoman Robinson to attend lunch with local clergy around youth gun violence. And I'll be talking about some things that you saw in my goals a little bit later. On May 27th, we had our retirement drive-through extravaganza. It was great here to see our folks that retired after so many years of service. That was wonderful. On May 30th, Sunday, I was invited to Full Council Church. I had an opportunity to attend their church service as I'm starting to get out to meet our clergy. On June 2nd, that is our monthly meeting that I have with the mayor, Chief Tessing, and it's a wonderful opportunity for us to collaborate and coordinate among our offices. On June the 3rd, I had an opportunity to be invited to the North Little Rock Rotary. They welcomed me. That was great. I did kind of a smaller version of the 100-day transition plan report. On the 3rd, I had an opportunity to go out and meet our media specialists for the first time, and so I got to meet them. I did a small focus group with them as well as our elementary school counselors. They were meeting at Boone Park, and I was invited out there, so I had a chance to meet with them. And then on June the 8th, Pastor Stinnett, who's actually from Full Council, he, myself, Crystal Barker, and Dr. Tyler met around establishing this year adult youth mentoring advisory councils at all of our schools. As that community forum started around youth gun violence, so I'll be directing all of our schools to have a youth mentoring, and we can start to better coordinate and invite our community in. And then the other day I had the opportunity, summer school has started, so I did get out to 7th Street Elementary School and visit with Mr. Collins. So that is my report.
Very good, very good.
Well, ditto on the retirement. It was fun.
That's right, and Dr. Redis is joining us, right?
It was
Hand out.
fun seeing the employees coming through. There were some that I didn't even know that they were retiring. But what was really warm-hearting was when they said, I've been in the same district for 30-some-odd years. It was like, wow.
That's
Just
a lot
wow.
of service.
Okay. I did today for the North Rock History Commission have an opportunity to talk about the vision of this board and the support that we anticipated it, and I also had to give a history of my growing up in the North Rock School District during the segregation, and also how I integrated Ridge Road Junior High with 2 other employees, and my feeling about North Little Rock, our district. And I told them that Dr. Paluski, if we could buy into his vision, and it's all videotaped, by the way, buy into this. We're #1 in sports, but I think I have no doubt that the board want us to be #1 academically. And so therefore, very good meeting, Mr. Bedford and Ms. Smith. And by the way, the video is 2 hours long. So, but I talked about Scipio Africana Jones High School. And I talked about Ridge Road with Mr. Smith. I talked about Ken Kirspel and Dr. Paluski. The person that had the most impact on our district was Mr. James Smith for during the time we were going through desegregation. And so with that thought, I told him that I felt the North Rock School District is on the move for the betterment and the education of our children. And so that's how that was. And I told him I love my board.
We love you, Mom.
That's all.
I just have a comment more than anything. I just spent some time with Miss Bobby Riggins regarding our homeless situation and our children of the district right now. Dustin, I see you in the audience. Did we post that link on our website? Can we repost that? And I ask because it has been quite the topic of social media here lately. Tiffany Nelson, Emily Jones Bailey recirculate it. On social media, there's Elena Tatum, Sonia Irving, Michelle Whitlock-Cadle. They are just mostly just talking. So maybe we ought to put it out there again because maybe they didn't see it. So if we can do that again, that would be amazing. Thank you.
We're happy to repost that. We can even do it in the superintendent's top 10 to bring some awareness to it.
Yeah, tag them. Send it directly to their
Are you
email.
referring to where they can donate? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
I've seen it. I have screenshot it and sent it to a few people and circled it with my yellow highlighter for us. So
Sure.
We need to do
We'll be happy to circulate it.
that'd be
Sure.
awesome.
Sure.
Anybody else?
Well, there's a couple things. I did go out and spend a little time with some of the football players, so they're nestled in and getting ready for season, and I think they're just glad they know who their leader is and what direction they're going, and I think everybody's pretty excited out there. I do get a lot of questions about the track and when the track will reopen to the public. It was closed initially when the new track was put in, and then it remained closed because of COVID. But now that things are improving,
Yeah.
A lot of people are back asking when it's going to open again. Also had the opportunity to go to, and it was a surprise retirement party for Mr. Charlie Jones, and his staff actually put it together, and it was a wonderful event. They put it together, pitched in, paid for everything, and the accolades he received, emotion, and the way those individuals really care about him and love him. Great educator. We're going to really miss him. Dr. Redis was also there as well. I'm not sure if anybody else was, but it was a great event.
For clarification on the track, are you speaking of the high school track or are you speaking of the Ridge Road track? Or
High
both?
school track.
Because, we've got two.
Well,
So
we
that's
got
why I
3 if you
inquired.
include the middle school track.
Sure. I think that's a really good point to bring up as we kind of talk about our reopenings. We talk about tonight. I would say we'd want to give access to all of our tracks.
The middle school track is open, but I can tell you,
No,
JT
it's
knows
closed.
as well. It's closed now. The gates
They've,
closed.
yeah, they've closed all that.
That
They've started
construction.
construction.
Okay.
So no, it's closed.
I was gonna say it's not safe anyway. I mean, it was been on that far side.
Well, the middle
somebody
school's
said a
not safe.
Bobcat was over there. And
That's why
all
we need
kind
to
of
redo
things.
it.
Sure.
Okay.
We'll be happy to look into that, and we'll make sure that we provide some guidance as part of our reopening to make sure the public knows. We'll check with Mr. Davis, and we'll check with our health and security, but I don't see any reason why we couldn't start to open that up for the public.
There'll be some resistance. Well, the challenge is, and I'll be for that, but there needs to be a way that you don't let kids tear up the football field. It's a very expensive artificial field.
Sure.
So when you speak with your athletic director and the coaches, probably gonna have some concerns about that. I'll just let you know beforehand because, and I think they're legitimate concerns. People, you know, should have access to it, but not the football field, and some of them sneak pets on there and out there and let the pets run wild and so forth. And
So we'll take a look at our guidelines and make sure that they are appropriate.
Oh, and another point to Mr. Steele's directive, you know, Mr. Steele, some of our stakeholders didn't understand why they couldn't park their cars on the track field, you know.
oh yeah,
And so that is something perhaps you need to put in your notes, that no cars are allowed because that damages the track.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. We're on to the CPPC and LPPC monthly reports.
Yes, Madam President, members of our board, I do not believe that there is an CPPC or LPPC monthly report. Is that correct, Mr. Smith?
That is correct.
Okay.
And Dr. Smith, in that we had just asked them last week when they have reports, you know, when you have your meeting, just for documentation, if they could put that in our packet, that way we'll kind of have a feeling of what, you know, is going to happen. This has always been done, just a part of their documentation. As we put our minutes in our packets, then we'll also have theirs. And it's no question about the jobs that they're doing, but it's simply documentation, okay? And they said they would do this whenever they met. That when Ms. Colquitt would always get it and then send it to the board members.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Madam President, members of the board, first information item, which is 7.1, which is the districting, rezoning, and school board member term limits. And our presenter is Mr. Jay Beckett, our chief legal counsel for our school district. So welcome, Mr. Beckett.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Board, Dr. Lppc. So Dr. Lppc asked me to address the district rezoning that is required by law after the the 2020 census. And so I provided a document that the School Board Association released that I consulted with Lucas Harder on at the School Board Association. And it's, it talks about the steps required under the law for currently zoned school districts, as North Little Rock School District is. And it sets out a pretty straightforward process. I'm told that the final census data for 2020 is going to be issued sometime later this summer, which will then allow us to implement this process outlined here that many, many school districts across the state will be following. And the first step will be, once we get the census data, will be to either use the Secretary of State or a private demographer. And I think my tenure as counsel for the district started shortly, either at or shortly after the time that the 2010 census data was used to redraw zones 10 years ago. So I don't know what process was followed. If we used a private demographer, I think we probably did, Mr. Yeah, so that will probably be the process that we follow. Hire a demographer like we did the last time 10 years ago, redraw the zones, and then we just follow these steps with fidelity to make sure we're in compliance with the law, and then get ready for this to happen in the 2022 school elections. And so I stand available for any questions the board may have about the laws or the processes that we need to follow, and making sure we're in full compliance with those laws.
For clarity, we have to wait until the census are turned in.
That's correct. I'm told that the final census data will be released sometime late this summer. August was the word I heard from some sources.
So you being our legal counsel, some years ago, we had to rezone. Mr. Steele's zone changed, I think you too, JT, and mine. And I was wondering, who makes the decision of how the zones are reshaped and format it?
Yeah, excellent question. That's largely the demographer's job, because the demographer is someone who's trained to analyze the census data and line that up with the way our zones are currently configured. And then they take the data and our zones and draw them to make sure they comply with the law, including the Federal Voting Rights Act of 1965, which they're real familiar with because that's what they do.
So, and to clarify that, as I recall, they brought us, we approve it.
Yes.
We approve it, but, and the county election commission has to approve it. But they basically presented us an option. I think there were one or two little areas that they said we could go this way or that way with it. I mean, we tried to keep it as consistent with the existing zones, so as not to move as few people as possible.
Correct.
And that's kind of what went into our thinking. But Mr. Becker's right. The demographer presents its options. There may only be one that makes sense. They try to draw them along main roads so it's not confusing as to where people live. And I lost a little triangle of folks, I think, around the middle school. And they just adjust that within 5%, something like that. There's a guideline there.
Mm-hmm.
But can we go ahead and start seeking out demographers now
Absolutely.
and line that up so that when the numbers come out, they can get to work?
We can.
Okay.
Yes, we can, and that would be advisable.
And Mr. Becker, that goes into effect in 2022?
It'll be for the 2022 school elections.
Oh, 2022.
And does that mean we all have to run that year?
Yeah, the statute says that after a rezoning, all board members have to run for reelection.
Even though we're about to run this year, we
It's
still have
one
to
of those
run again.
unfortunate timing situations, because it's just, that's a great question, Dr. Redis. I've had other superintendents around the state ask me about that. And because they ask me, but at the same time, they're concerned about the timelines. And as I mentioned to you in our private conversation, the timelines just aren't workable because, we have the filing, the deadline is 90 days before the election, and we won't have the demographers' reports back by then, nor the county commissioners' approvals and all the different approvals we have to get as outlined in these 7 steps.
Dr. McGee.
He's a doctor. He has law license.
You are a doctor.
I'm a juris doctor.
Okay.
I'm sort of a doctor.
Okay, what I wanted to
We'll
know
allow it.
is, I saw in here about 5 years. Is this something that's gonna be put into law for the board members who are, up for election? That they will have to, would that be changed from their 3 years? Would they be stopped in the middle of the season to say, you got to do 5 years, it's no longer 3 years?
Well, we'll draw, after we have the 2022 elections that every board member has to run for again, the newly elected members will draw lots, okay, for the terms.
And that's where they stagger then. They start
Correct.
staggering.
So we stagger the expiration dates of the terms. So we don't have
So
more
some
than-
people, 2 people, if I'm not mistaken, because they only want 2 people to roll off at a time.
Correct.
So in 2022, whoever is elected in 2022, those board members will draw. And 2 will be for 5 years, 2 will be for 4, 2 will be for 3, and so forth.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly right.
Correct. You stated it well.
Okay, question, Madam President. This may be JT or Dr. Williams. So are the school board lines, how close are they aligned to the school zoning lines? Are they the same?
The outside of the school board lines are concurrent with the school.
Exactly.
Yes. That's based upon the school zone, not the city.
Okay.
Right.
'Cause there's an issue over in my zone where Dark Hollow. Dark Hollow is the only community, I'm told, that is directly divided. You have kids on one side of the street that go to Lakewood. On the other side of the street, they go to 7th Street. And so that has been a real issue in that community. I don't know how that is addressed as far as.
Okay, so I misunderstood what you said. When you said school zones, you meant elementary school zones? Or,
Any school zone.
well, the school zones and our zones have nothing to do with one another.
Yeah, that was my
Right.
question.
Okay, and we can change those at any time as long as we don't.
But they're not closely aligned at all?
And you're referring to attendance, are you
Right.
attendance zones
Attendance
versus?
zones and our zones are not, even though folks think they are, no, they're not
They're
aligned
not
at all.
Right.
They're aligned mostly for demographic
When are
purposes.
those lines?
We can adjust those lines, I think, when we
Anytime.
choose.
Annually or at any time.
It'd be good when we get this information,
Yes, sir.
maybe to address that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes,
So-
sir.
Mr. Becker,
Tracy.
one other question before you leave.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, going out highway, like you're going to Scotts, say England, those parents, they pay taxes to the North Rock School District, but their kids can attend the district schools. With this, I know this is a conversation we've been having for years about that problem. And then when I look at the map that we have as far as the area I in, they always have that area included. But basically, how would they feel voting for a board member that their kids can't even attend school in the North Rock School District? You understand? And it's something that's eventually, I think they're gonna try to work to find out how can we get this community, you have 3 subdivisions out there. And that has been a question to mind that parents say, why do we paying taxes in North Rock and our kids can't go to school in North Rock?
Now, Ms. Williams, are you saying they paid taxes to the North Little Rock School District or the city of North Little Rock? If they're paying, if they live in the school zone, they should be able to attend, and that's where their taxes ought
Well,
to
they
go.
don't, darling,
Really?
No.
never.
It's on the personal property taxes. On the personal property taxes, it says North Little Rock School District, and they pay for that because they live in North Little Rock.
Well,
Yeah, be
that's,
darned.
that's upside down, yeah, that's,
But their child can't come because they're not zoned for North Little Rock.
So are they zoned for Pulaski County Special School
Yes.
District? I vaguely remember that.
So
now
their
that we're-
child has to go to a Pulaski County school,
Right.
but
Or
they,
school choice.
but they pay
Taxes for-
taxes
In North Little Rock.
in North Little Rock.
yeah.
But anyway, they say it's something, been talked about, and hopefully it'll be brought to the table. Things of that nature, we could use the money,
I mean, we want to keep the money. so
Tracy,
we need the
Fairway,
children.
Crestwood, Lakewood, and Ridge Road. So to go back to what your comment was, it's not just Dark Hollow. Fairway is also like that.
Split
It's
out.
set up. Yep.
Okay.
So, Mr. Beck, I just have one question, just to make sure that I understand on the term limit. So this upcoming year, we have four board seats, I believe, that are up for reelection.
Yes.
And then when those board members are elected, then the next year, everyone on that board has to go through an election?
That's correct.
Gotcha. And then they draw straws or draw for the different term limits?
That's correct.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So I
It's
do
an
have-
Arkansas deal.
I do have a question along those lines, though.
Sure.
Right now, we have 3-year terms.
Right.
So will we no longer have 3-year terms after that? Because there's no way to do, will we have 4-year terms, 5-year terms?
You-
Will
we
we have?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. I'm
No.
confused about how that math works out.
Yeah, after the the demographer does his work, then in the 2022 school election, all board members have to run if they want to serve. And those elected will draw lots at the first board meeting after the election to draw staggered terms.
Right.
Like Dr. Redis said, 5, 5, 3, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, and down to 1.
But are we required to switch to 5-year terms at that time?
Yeah,
Or-
after that, it'll be fine.
After
After that,
that,
it'll be five.
everybody will be on 5
Okay,
years.
I wasn't aware of that. Okay.
After that, everybody will be on 5 years.
That is correct.
So basically, when you run in 2022, if you're elected, be mindful that you may be a 5-year. But again, you may draw straws and be a 2-year.
Correct.
You won't know until you draw straws.
But then when you're reelected, it'll be 5-year terms after that.
Correct.
That's
Okay. Well, it's hard enough to get people to run for 3-year terms. This is gonna be a challenge. My goodness.
Yeah.
All right,
Like
thank you.
running like running for Congress. 2 years.
Oh, the pay isn't quite the same, but anyway, thank you.
Good point.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, I just need some clarity before he leaves, because he's been up there for 20 minutes. And I needed, Dr. Pawlowski has his packet in here about his goals.
Yes, ma'am.
And you previously had told us we need to do them before you leave. I'm asking you, with permission, if Dr. Pawlowski got the goals in there, but I want to know what process should be used for that before he leaves, because he had told us before, to make sure that we as a board are on track with what he's given us. So he has given us goals, now what do we do?
Well, you will start a process of evaluating Dr. Paluski on those goals and progress made toward achieving those goals.
Okay? And as soon as possible, we have to vote on these goals tonight.
Okay, sure.
So once we do that,
We're looking at a timeline because with this new process, you've got 4 members that's coming up for election.
Correct.
So you possibly could have 4 new board members.
That's true.
And then the next year, right in the middle of evaluating him, all of us got to run again. So we kind of need some dates. That works better for us if you say by such and such we should have done this.
Well, my sense of this is not to focus so much on potential changeover and turnover on the board, and to focus on what timelines make sense for a robust and vigorous evaluation of the superintendent. Okay, because I think that's what the board would want. I think that's what Dr. Paluski would want, because that's, getting feedback from the board is the key. So I really wouldn't focus on potential turnover so much as what dates make sense, in order to give Dr. Paluski time to work toward progress on the goals. So we don't want to do it. You're gonna know it when you see it, as far as the dates and the timelines and the progress. So I'll let you all kind of figure that out. But I wouldn't really focus on elections and possible turnover.
okay, because my thought would be, when you spoke to us before,
Yes, ma'am.
that it would be more feasible if we, the board, present board, knows him, that we could go ahead and evaluate him in lieu of waiting to an election, because you don't know how it would change, because those people could not evaluate him effectively.
That's correct.
Because we do not know him.
That's my, thank you. That was my point.
Yeah, that's
So-
perfectly stated.
No way around it.
Yeah,
No,
we
it's
have,
not.
we have
Somewhere around.
typically done it in January, and I know that when I came on, I was not comfortable evaluating because I hadn't been on there long enough.
Right.
So, I mean, maybe we need to move it to November,
Mhm.
because that's when the change would happen, and all the people who'd been there up to that point could participate.
And that would provide Dr. Paluski with very good feedback
Mhm.
from board members that have, been around him for almost a year at that point, frankly.
So I'm asking you,
Exactly,
Madam
here,
Chair,
actually.
then you need to get with Dr. Paluski or something and set up a calendar and come back and present it to the board for
Okay.
feasibility, and because we don't need to be, you told us to do it expeditiously when the
Yes.
last time you were here.
Yes, ma'am.
And so in that he has presented us his goals, we need to do what we need to do as a board, go forward, and then that way our process will be equitable.
Well stated. Yeah, I agree.
Thank you.
Regardless of I'm fine with Ms. Temple and Mr. Paluski discussing it, or us having a workshop, or however we decide to do it. The ASBA does have a recommended calendar for that, and it's in line with the July to June contract calendar. And I think, my personal opinion, I'm not the board, is to start with that and only deviate from that if we have good reason to. And I understand we have a census year that might throw things off a little, but we can't mess ourselves up for the next 10 years to try to work around something potentially happening next year or the year after, next year. The time means nothing anymore with COVID. So, but, that would be my personal opinion, to start with that, because there's a reason they've laid it out the way they have. So, but yes, I think we need to lock that in soon.
I agree.
All right, thank you. You can
Thank you,
go.
Mr. Beckett.
Thank you all.
25 an hour.
Y'all have a great evening.
Thank you.
Ms. Colquitt, he only spoke for 20 minutes.
Hey, and I was billing other clients.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Beckett. Okay.
7.2?
Yeah, so Madam Chair and members of our board, so action item 7.2, this is an information item for the 2021-2022 Board of Education meeting dates, and I know that Mr. Barnes had put those together on my behalf. We just wanted to present them to you. If there's any changes that you wish to make, pretty much the first and the third Thursday.
Madam President, I move we approve the
It's not-
upcoming election dates.
It's
It's informational.
Okay.
It's information.
So I've added them to the calendar. Thank you for that update.
Okay, thank you. And information 7.3 is a North Little Rock School District resolution for safety guidelines for COVID-19, and I'll invite my colleagues, Ms. Alexander, who's over school nursing, and as well as Nurse Green, who is our point of contact, and we thank you both for being here. Just to set some context, we just wanted to kind of get this out in front of the board and start having a dialogue and discussion about it. Certainly our recommendation is that we go to optional masks effective August 1st, but we wanted to get feedback, the will of the board, information, so forth, if you're any adjustments that you want us to make, or maybe not to move down this road. But we feel that based upon our numbers, which are very, very extremely low, and opening up of the state, this is what we're recommending. So ladies, I don't know if there's anything that you want to add, or I think most of everybody has read the resolution.
Just wanted to give you guys some statistics of what we know about who's been vaccinated in the district. And the clinics that we offered, North Little Rock School District offered through Baptist and then through Cornerstone Pharmacy, we have approximately 700 staff members who were vaccinated through that. We anticipate that there are many, many more who have been vaccinated, went to their own doctors, their own pharmacy. So that's about 43%, a little bit more, give or take, that we vaccinated ourselves in North Little Rock. Nurse Green can probably give you some other statistics, because she is the one who was firsthand handling these clinics, and I appreciate her so much.
I was not firsthand. I had to take it over. It was Mandy was the best.
Mandy was it first, and she took it over when Nurse
But-
Mandy got sick.
I do know of many employees that have gone outside to their own pharmacies and to their own doctors who felt more comfortable getting it at their physicians. We have started the students from middle school all the way up to the high school. Those turnouts were not as good here per se. We probably only did not even 5% of our student population. But I do know that many of the students in the high school level have gone outside to their physicians that I have talked to, trying just to see what each parent, or was there a reason, did they need more information, just trying to get information out to the high school and the middle school students.
And then the other, with those students, we weren't able to offer those till right at the end of school because they weren't
Which was very difficult.
approved yet. So we were trying to squeeze those in the last week of school and with athletic physicals. So we did go in with the city. They sponsored a clinic at Simmons Arena, and Dr. Poliski gave them a little quote, and we put our logo on there, and we did send those flyers out to students and encourage them to go to the city's clinics, and we will continue to offer those starting in August. We'll come back with UAMS. We partnered with UAMS mobile unit.
Yes.
So we'll continue to offer those and try to get as many of our students vaccinated as we can as well.
Question, nurse,
Yes.
did you know, with summer school and everything, how did that work? Did you have many cases to report?
Right now, we have 4 positive and 7 that are quarantined. And that's our numbers, no staff members at all students.
And we've remained in the single digits for staff and students
For
probably
months.
for several months. We've had really low numbers, and we monitor those daily. Nurse Green updates a spreadsheet. So if we do see an uptick, we can, in a moment's notice, meet and put the mask mandate back in if we see things are increasing.
Question. How are we gonna handle elementary and pre-K? Because they can't get vaccinated.
Correct. They cannot. I have been hearing a lot that is, they're hoping that it's gonna be available for them right before school starts. You know, the elementary and pre-K did so good wearing their masks. They're very good at social distancing. I still feel it would be up to a parent
Okay.
in that aspect. And then if we happen to see a rise in the elementary, because really our biggest numbers were always the
Secondary.
high school and middle school, always.
So, given that we really can't do a mask mandate anymore, can we
Correct.
do it on a building level? I mean, I don't think we can
I don't
we?
think we can either.
So, I mean, I think this is as much as we can do legally, since that was taken out of our control.
And Nurse Green has met with the Department of Health, and this is what they're recommending to all school districts to go. Either do away with your mask mandate or go with an optional, so,
In other words, a suggestion.
right.
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I have a quick question. I know you said that you were gonna kind of ramp that up towards when school get ready to start as far as the vaccinations, but are there any type of, getting the word out towards over the summer as far as kind of encouraging people to get their vaccination?
So we can sure send out some more communications like that, and we can also check with the city, because I know they're still doing a lot of those mobile units with UAMS, so we can definitely send that back out with summer school students.
And the health department should be picking up probably, I would say July, start really ramping up back to school, for their regular shots, and also throwing in the COVID shot in with those.
As much money as they're spending on the programs for advertisement for the state of Arkansas, I would like to think that they're gonna do something. I mean, it's astronomical on what we're spending for that advertisement. Okay. But Dustin also can fill in our gaps, right, Dustin?
He always does. He's the best at getting our information out.
So Dustin will take care of that for us, not a problem.
So, Superintendent, you did a great job. I saw you everywhere.
Thank you.
How do we deal with something that probably needs to be fluid if something comes up?
Absolutely. So, we monitor these numbers daily, and I think your weekly board reports reflect our weekly numbers. So I would suggest that if we see an uptick, and I know that we were just talking about this today, I believe it's called the Delta virus, which is another variant that's coming across Europe that there's some concern about. So at any moment, if we feel from our health officials, we monitor that we need to come back and have an emergency meeting and put a mask date into place, we will certainly do that. And I think we're going to monitor it, and that gives us the opportunity to do it as fast as we can.
And I researched through the health department today on the Delta variant. So as of June 8th, there has been 8 cases in the state with the Delta variant. If you've had both vaccines, both shots, you are 88% going to be okay. If you have only had one, it's 33% effective. So, I've been really looking into that.
Thank you guys for all that you've done.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Good job.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Florence Nightingale.
I wish. Oh, you're welcome.
We are on to action items.
Action items, yes, Madam President, members of our board. Action item 8.2, which is our consent agenda, monthly financial report, our business office items, and our payment of regular bills. And just to kind of hit some highlights on our business office, that would be blinds at Crestwood Elementary School. We have a whole security system upgrade. There are 6 sites in which we'll be doing that. If you remember back at Boone Park, we had an issue with the HVAC heating system, which caused, so that payment there is for the emergency services for cleaning up the insulation. The Fort NGL project, which we continue locally to support that. Our filters, there are 16 sites that are requiring filters at $32,000. And then accident insurance that we pay every year for all of our students if they were to get an accident at a sporting event, after-school event during the day, that we've got that covered. And so that is the consent agenda items.
All right. Madam President, I'm going to give you a motion here in just a second, but first, to clarify, we don't have any minutes to approve tonight, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so that's why
Correct.
8.1 was skipped. Okay.
Yes.
Correct, as we
So-
amended it. Thank you, sir.
All right, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, moved and properly second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. Madam President, members of our board, 8.3, action item 8.3 is the employment of personnel. Superintendent recommends the employment of personnel as discussed in executive closed session.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the employment of personnel. It's presented by Dr. Paluski.
Second.
Moved and properly second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. Madam President, members of the board, action item 8.4 is the 2021 superintendent goals. I did make a couple revisions. Ms. Wonkam, I did add, because you talked about professional development, so I did add our leadership institutes that we'll do every year. And we're going to start this year doing monthly principal meetings with everyone, so we'll be able to capture that. There was some wordsmithing in PBIS. I think I had service versus support. Timely communication, I think that I added. And then in I believe it's in action item 4, specifically around, I changed the year of from 2021 to 2022. So the action item is by November or December, I will come with a plan, but for implementation the following year, which is a question that you had. So I just wanted to clarify that I did edit those as feedback. So I'm
Okay.
open to any feedback.
Any comments, questions?
Madam President, I so move that we accept the superintendent's goals.
Second.
Okay, moved and properly second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. And action item 8.5, 2021-2022 student policy updates and handbook updates. Based upon your last feedback, we did make some revisions based upon feedback. And I know Ms. Alexander is here, Mr. Stone is on leave. So the superintendent recommends those edits so we can prepare for the upcoming school year.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve the 2021-2022 student policy updates and handbook updates as presented.
Second.
Moved and properly second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. And our last action item, which is 8.6, this is the 2021-22 elementary, secondary, and special education curricular consumable materials that were presented at our last workshop. Superintendent recommends the purchase of these materials in order to start the upcoming school year.
Madam President, I so move that we accept 8.6A, 8.6B, 8.6C for special education and elementary and secondary curricula purchases.
Second.
Okay, moved and properly second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
And so those that are witnessing this for the first time, the Special Services Director, Dr. White, and Ms. Smith did give us a phenomenal presentation at our last meeting. For those of you that perhaps did not understand it or get it, but overwhelming, where they would say that there will be no negotiation on anything that the board has paid for, and we appreciate that. Now, you can go, Doctor.
Okay,
So it'll be
so
future
we're down
meetings.
to future meetings
Yes, ma'am.
and events. The next board meeting is July 1st, and it'll be a special board meeting and a workshop, and then the regular board meeting will be on July 15th.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn.
Yes.
Second.
All in
All in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
Ayes have
Any
it.
opposed? We are adjourned, and that
6:38.
is
That's a
one of the
record.
fastest meetings
6:38.
we've had. Wow.
That's a record.
What?